Hello and welcome to Talent Talks. My name is David Allison. The idea of these webinars and podcasts is to help provide an insight into the changing world of work. It's a conversation with those responsible for recruiting into companies large and small across all sectors and regions of the country. We'll be exploring some of the many changes that are happening around us today and the even bigger changes that are going to come about in the next few years as we grapple with recovery from the pandemic and new working patterns, as well as the huge impact that automation is going to have on all of us. So my guests today are Sasha and Lisette from DHL. Now, there can't be many people in the country who wouldn't immediately recognise the DHL logo, normally on one of the distinctive yellow trucks, lorries or even planes, but that is just the tip of the iceberg. Employing 380,000 people across 220 countries and delivering a staggering 1.6 billion packages a year, DHL has transformed the way in which organisations work on a global basis. From simply delivering a package to running entire logistics operations on behalf of their customers, DHL offers careers opportunity as diverse as its workforce. But before we hear more about the world of DHL, let's meet Sasha and Lisette. So Sasha, Lisette, welcome very much indeed to Talent Talks.
Thank you for having us. Happy to be here.
Brilliant. Well, Sasha, let me begin with you. I know that you've got an incredibly kind of varied background, all sorts of different organisations, which focus on something that I guess we would call early talent. So that's school leavers, apprenticeships, graduates. Tell us a bit about you and your career.
Yeah, definitely. I have found my passion in early careers and apprenticeships. So I began working there over 10 years ago now within the IT consultancy sector. And I worked at Capgemini and we set up the apprenticeship programme and I loved it. I was absolutely hooked. I loved giving young people a different opportunity into the world of work and into finding what makes them happy, into starting their futures that wasn't university. And I became really passionate about making sure that there were options for every person that suited that person. So I realised that's what I loved. And then 5 years ago, I decided to leave working in a sole business and set up as a consultant. And I worked in lots and lots of different companies across lots of different sectors, ranging from finance to healthcare to logistics. Literally, you name it, I've been there, setting up apprenticeship programmes, working with graduate programmes to make sure there is a streamlined early careers offering, and also working across training providers too, so at different universities and at training providers who deliver apprenticeships to make sure that they always have that client-focused, learner-focused attitude about delivering programmes. And then here I am at DHL. I've been here a year as head of emerging talent, and I'm still living the dream. I am making sure that our apprenticeship programmes and our graduate programmes deliver to the business and also to our future generation of leaders.
Fantastic. Thank you very much indeed. Well, that's a great introduction. Lisette, how about you? I know you're a slightly newer member of the DHL team.
Yeah. So I've been with DHL actually 2.5 years. So I started before Sasha became.
I didn't realise that. Okay, so I got that the wrong way around. Totally.
Yeah. I mean, I started as in an analyst role in 2018 now. And
you was that doing an apprenticeship then? Was that what you started off on?
Yeah, so I started out of sixth form as a chartered management degree. So a 4-year programme, and I got placed where I am, and I've changed roles since. However, it's been a really great opportunity.
And it's great. I mean, so presumably when you were thinking about options when you were leaving school, you must have been thinking about university or degree apprenticeships, I guess, as part of that choice.
Yes, yeah, definitely. So when I was looking at applying for universities, I went through the whole process. I applied for unis, I did the UCAS. I wanted to do a degree in business and economics. However, it was at that point that I started becoming demotivated in applying for accommodation and student loan, that I knew it wasn't for me. And I thought, well, I'll definitely go and see if I can do something that gets me the same degree in the world of work. And that's kind of where I started looking, and I came across DHL.
And so far, so good, I hope.
Yes, yeah, I've really enjoyed my time. Obviously, things have changed a bit since I've started, with the pandemic and all of that and what came with it. But I've really enjoyed it, and I've really grown in confidence and experience, and I'm really happy with where I am.
That's cool. Well, we'll come back to you later on if that's okay, and just explore a little bit more about that choice and maybe the role of schools, parents, all those other people that like to give advice when you're making these very important decisions. But Sasha, let me come back to you. I mean, I gave a very quick introduction to DHL earlier on. Perhaps you could fill in some of the gaps for us. What's it like to work as part of this incredible global organisation?
Do you know what, David? It is an incredible global organisation. I am so proud of working for an organisation that has kept Britain moving throughout a pandemic, which has been really highlighted. But actually, it sounds cliche, but it's like a DHL family. It's like an Instagram. It's called our Connect app that keeps everyone together. And across the UK, we've got over 30,000, actually over the globe, we've got over 30,000 people on this app. And even as an example, people uploading TikToks, videos of them walking at the weekend with their family. And it does feel like you're, part of a massive global business, but you know people, you've got friends, you feel like you're there for each other, and it's a really supportive environment. And DHL is what you said before, David, really. So we work really closely with all of our clients on their supply chain, whether that be the full end-to-end process encompassing procurement to assembly, to packaging, to storage, to distribution, to transport planning, or whether it be just one part of that process. And actually that's what we're known for, right? That's the yellow and red, the DHL, the vans, the lorries, the t-shirts. That's what you think of when you think of DHL. But we are so much more than that. We're not just logistics, and the careers available aren't just logistics. So I got some cool facts the other day, and I know that we transport over 400,000 kidney dialysis patients per year across the M25 as part of our patient transfer team. I mean, goodness knows that I didn't know DHL did that, to be perfectly honest.
No, I didn't either, yeah.
I know. We deliver 1 in 4 pints of beer across the UK. So actually, when we are able to sit outside in beer gardens, you have at DHL to thank for that. And I suppose it's the variety of how we do these things. So I know that we've all been living at home, we've all been shopping locally, but from the cereal you have in the morning when you wake up, to the clothes you put on, to the office desk that you're working on, to, everything from the gym equipment that we deliver gym equipment. We've delivered hot tubs to keep people going throughout this lockdown. We are an essential part of making sure that the economy, but also people's lives have kept on moving. People are happy, people are, eating, people are doing what they love still, and being sort of an essential part of everyday life. Which I'm really proud to be part of that.
And I know that you've briefed me very well that we're not allowed to talk about specific clients, so I won't drag you down that route. But I know that, in the pandemic, you've been pretty instrumental in some of the solutions that we've all looked to in terms of healthcare to make sure we have the capacity to deal with, with dealing with both ill patients, but also the vaccines.
Definitely, 100%. We've got a massive life sciences and healthcare division of our business, alongside retail, manufacturing, all the other parts of our business. And life science and healthcare has obviously been front and centre in this pandemic, and so enabling that to keep moving and that to continue to deliver services, not for our clients but with our clients, and really be innovating to make sure that we are keeping that essential part of the world running, has been huge for us, especially over the last year.
So I guess, that must mean that you have an incredible breadth of skills that you need to bring into the business. Because I know that you've got more planes than some major airlines. So you have to recruit everything from the kind of the pilots at one end through to, I guess the truck drivers, but also everything that goes in between to keep the whole operation going. It must be incredible.
It's huge. It's absolutely bonkers. I can't believe it. So yeah, we have everything you could imagine within logistics and supply chain. Like you say, drivers, warehouse staff, frontline managers, transport planners, inventory clerks. We've got all these sorts of roles, but also with the nearly 50,000 people across the UK alone, we've got people working in legal, we've got people working in HR, we've got roles available in finance, we've got a property section, we've got a whole team focused on the Go Green agenda and ensuring we are pushing towards our vision to have zero emissions by 2050. And we've got a whole team of people focused on just that. So actually, the things that you maybe don't see behind the scenes offer a wealth of opportunities to get involved into.
And one of the questions that we often get from careers advisors is, well, I mean, this all sounds great, but presumably only works if you happen to live around the corner from one of the DHL operations. How broad is your kind of the population of DHL employees in the UK? Are you scattered all over the place?
We're everywhere. Yeah, absolutely. So when you were saying that it only works if you live around the corner from a DHL site, luckily that they are everywhere, so you likely do. Yeah, we are everywhere from all over the UK, all over Ireland. We are everywhere you look. So yeah, hopefully that isn't really a restriction for anybody. Our graduate program is nationwide, and they will rotate across different placements, across different locations to give them that breadth and depth of experience. But actually, our apprentice programs aren't. But luckily, like you say, they are available all over the country, so it shouldn't be a reason to stop people joining us.
Excellent. Well, there was a careers advisor in Chesterfield who asked that very specific question. So thank you very much indeed for answering that one. Give us an idea of the kind of the numbers. How many young people do you bring in on your apprenticeships and graduate programs each year?
So we have 200 graduates on programme at the moment, and we are recruiting an additional 71 this year. We have also, our apprentice programme is bigger than ever actually this year, and I'm really excited about that. We're currently in the process of recruiting 29 apprentices, and they will be joining a big apprentice cohort already, but actually the breadth of different roles we're offering this year is what's different. So we've always offered operational roles, so people to be working within the operation, right at the bleeding heart of logistics, and what you expect to be a logistics role, on chartered manager degrees and supply chain leadership degree apprenticeships. But this year we're recruiting data analysts. That's a massive push for us within the business. We've got data analysts coming in across all the different business areas. We've got finance assistants joining us. We've got HR assistants joining us. We have specific transport planners joining us. So we are really recruiting not only into that frontline logistics supply chain pipeline. This year we're making sure all those functions are supported by apprentice roles as well as graduate roles, because ultimately this emerging talent are the future of our business. The people we are talking about here are the future of, they will be the leaders of tomorrow. And we don't want to just be bringing graduates in, and we don't want to just be bringing apprentices in. We need to bring that diverse workforce with diverse thoughts, diverse experiences into all sectors of our business so that they can grow and lead it in the future.
Well, that's great to hear, and I think it's very important, isn't it, that this is about making sure that young people particularly make good choices about what's available and make the right choice for them, and that we create those pathways for them into the world of work and to the right organisations where they have that cultural fit. And it does. I sense talking to you that there's probably there's quite a strong culture at DHL.
Yeah, there is. There definitely is, David. You definitely got that. 100%. And actually our emerging talent are a massive part of that. I know it's absolutely not all graduates and apprentices are the same in any way, but they are vocal and they are challenging and they are passionate, the young people that we bring into our business. So they are responsible for, they really create their own culture as well. So they challenge us, they are leading the diversity agenda, they are putting their hands up and being part of every single group you can imagine, leading a vibrant social scene and making sure that, there's a Netflix party going on tomorrow night within our Emerging Talent Social Committee. So yeah, there's the whole DHL culture, and then as a subculture of that, we've got a really active Emerging Talent Social Committee as well, who have their whole separate activities that go on in addition to the things we do as a business.
Well, I've got to come back to that one in a minute, because I know that for a lot of youngsters, they're concerned they wouldn't get the university lifestyle by doing a degree apprenticeship. But if you've got a social committee, we've got to find out more. But Lizette, challenging. There we go. Is that you? Do you challenge Sasha on a regular basis, do you think?
I was going to say I'm probably definitely one of the vocal and challenging ones, but hopefully in a good way. I think, it's really important, and we are, we always look for new ways of doing things, and we communicate with the emerging talent team regularly. They know that we'll speak to them, and it's great. It's great to have that kind of relationship.
Fantastic. So tell me a bit more then about you and how you got into DHL. Was it a company that you knew that you wanted to join, or how did you make the leap into DHL?
So when I first started applying for apprenticeships, I kind of picked a couple that I thought might be interesting. And DHL at the time, the supply chain perspective, I really didn't know what they did. And as part of the onboarding process, you had to do a presentation about who DHL supply chain are. And I learned a lot in that research time about what they do, and actually a 5-minute presentation wasn't going to do it. Wasn't going to explain what we do as a business. And at that point, I thought there is a lot of opportunities in this organisation. You can pretty much do most roles in most functions, and I think that level of exposure to a business from an early age was really appealing to me. And so I applied, and here I am.
And was it always going to be a degree apprenticeship for you, or because I think for a lot of young people, they aren't aware of that as a real option when they leave school?
Yeah, I mean, when I was applying for universities at my sixth form, it was very much a university is kind of the main way to go. Obviously, we had open evenings, and there were quite a few, there were a couple of apprenticeship providers there, but nowhere near as many as university stands. And at that point, I thought, oh, actually, it would be really good if I could get a degree in the thing that I wanted to do anyway, whilst gaining loads of experience and meeting interesting people. And that really, really appealed to me.
And do you think that the sort of your school and parents and others around you, did they think this was a good idea too, or did you have to do a bit of persuading to explain to them why you wanted to go down this particular route?
I mean, in terms of my parents, my dad did an apprenticeship many years ago, and he is an absolute advocate for apprenticeships. He has everything good to say about them. And actually, so did my mom, but in a kind of different capacity in nursing. And I thought, actually, they were quite happy for me to do whatever. But when you think about the benefits of an apprenticeship versus going to uni, getting a load of student debt, but you do also get some experience of, moving away and having to kind of fend for yourself, which I can still do now. But, they were all for it. My friends all went to uni anyway, so I get to see them and experience their social aspect. So I think it's great. I really enjoy it and definitely feel like I made the right decision.
And at the end of your degree, I mean, you will end up with a degree just like them. And is it Open University you're doing your degree with?
Yes, I'm doing it with the Open University.
So presumably then, despite the challenges of the pandemic, the remote delivery has all worked pretty well for you, and you've been able to carry on with your studies probably better than some people at universities have been able to.
Well, yes, actually, the Open University is built to be online, so actually it worked out really well because they didn't have to adapt to everyone working from home because we did it anyway. And that was a really important thing when I started working from home because of the pandemic, was that because I'd done my studies at home, every week I had my study time and I did that from home, and I kind of knew how to do it. And it was, I feel like the Open University have provided a great opportunity.
Great. Well, that sounds like it's really working out well, which is fantastic to hear. Sasha, let me come back to you and just think about the future, really. I mean, DHL has evolved so much since it was founded, I think it was in 1969, and the world has changed totally. If you have to get the crystal ball out, what do you think is going to happen in the next 10 to 25 years, particularly when it comes to skills and the kind of careers that young people should be really thinking about as part of the choices they make?
In terms of skills and careers, I suppose the first thing that springs to mind is it's digital. So we are using data, we are using insights to inform everything that we do. And actually, you can see that massively from even 5 years ago, let alone 10 years ago, how much data informs what we are doing. We are not, going blindly into the future anymore. We know what past data is telling us and what future data is telling us, and we're combining that with things that matter. So things like the Go Green agenda, things like making sure we reach our target of zero emissions by 2050. We're not just sort of guessing how we can do that. Data plays a massive part into that for us. And as a business, I know our strategy, there's so much connecting people, improving lives. That's what we aim to do. And one of the things we will be doing is pushing forward that Go Green agenda. But as in terms of careers, digitalisation informs every single part of our strategy. And I think that's the same if you look across the whole of the UK, if you look across other businesses. That's a massive growth area for everybody. And I think for a lot of businesses, it's an area that we have dabbled in and we've tried to do, but there is a real sort of fast forward button being pressed to make sure we get there. And actually, if you even just think about not digitalisation in a super techie context, but we're all working from home. We're all having to be far more remote, far more capable ourselves, and far less reliant on old school ways of doing things and traditional ways of working. And like Lizette said, I mean, she's a fantastic example of how that transition wasn't that hard for her, because she's been doing it with the Open University. It was kind of par for the course. She's part of a generation that are far more familiar with technology. And that's why I suppose this talent pool is so important for us as well, because it underpins what we are doing as a business. But by how their ideas feed in and how their inputs and challenges make us rethink the way we do things.
And I think you're right. The common thing we hear on these conversations all the time is around the role of digital skills and the fact that actually in almost every sector it's going to underpin what happens and the jobs of the future. And I think there's a lot of question around how do you make jobs and skills future-proof, but it sounds like digital is kind of at the heart of where you're heading.
Yeah, well, I do. I think that's one of the big things that will be coming in the future, and that's one of the future things. But I think the other thing to consider is that although we talk about the future, the basics still have to happen. So yeah, we might be excited about digital, we might be excited about all this stuff, but things like, it might not sound that sexy, logistics and supply chain. I mean, there are aspects that are very, very, very cool, but we need to deliver food to shops. We need to deliver, we supply 90% of Oxford Street when it's open. We need to make sure we keep businesses supplied and moving. We need to get car parts from A to B so that cars can be built, so that people can travel, people can move. We need to keep those solid foundations in place. So yes, we can talk about the future. And yeah, I do think that the information that we use to inform how we get to the future will be digital, but also forget that. We need to keep the basics running, and we need to make sure as a business, as a UK, as a world, as a country, those things never stop. And I think we've learned that more than ever over the last year, that let's do the exciting stuff, but also let's continue to deliver the fundamentals. And the fundamentals are keeping other businesses moving and making sure we have people who are aware of what's happening and people who are paying attention to the future, people who are paying attention to our clients, so that we're not just thinking about our future, we're thinking about our clients' future and how we support them to get to that place as well. So I think, yeah, there's really exciting things to come, but also we're very sustainable, which is quite exciting too.
I mean, the way you put it across is really clear, and I think it obviously must have an impact for you on the way and the kind of things that you look for in people who you're trying to hire. What are the things that great candidates demonstrate to you through that hiring process, on top of the kind of the digital, the rest of it, which you're right, that is that generation. What are the skills that need to go above those technical skills to make them somebody who's a standout candidate for you?
It's about being passionate, I suppose. The fundamental piece for us is being passionate and wanting to learn. We do not expect, I don't think anybody does, any organisation does, your emerging talent to come in and know everything. I mean, we don't want someone to come in and know everything. If you did, you'd be a direct hire into a different role. We want people who are excited about joining our industry, excited about joining our business, want to learn about it. And that's our job, right? That's what we're here for, to make sure that we teach them how to be the best version of themselves and how to learn about the industry and the role they're coming into. We look for people, it's across the businesses, it's a bit I suppose commercial speak this and a bit corporate, but we look for head, heart and guts. So we want people who have got a bit of heart, a bit of passion, who are excited and want to be here, that they've got that real heart focus in them. They've got their head, they're thinking to the future, they've got that attention to detail, they're making sure that we have got an eye on our customers, an eye on what's coming next, and they have got that commercial mindset. And then we want people with guts. We want to be challenged. We don't want people who just join us and say, yeah, you know, I'll sit back and I'll do as I'm told. We want people who bring their whole selves to work, who bring everything about them to work, not just their ability to do a role. They bring themselves, and we want people, who are passionate, forward-thinking team players, and who want to be heard, really, because we want to hear them.
Fantastic. Well, there we go. That sets out very clearly then the kind of people you're after. So tell us a little bit about the hiring process. So for those who are listening who want to join DHL or find out more, how do they go about applying to you?
It's not very simple, but it's simple. You go online, you would search for DHL Emerging Talent, and you'll find the opportunities for apprentice and graduate programs. It's a sort of a 3-stage application process in terms of there is an application which just assesses things like eligibility for the apprenticeship program. We don't recruit on grades. We no longer require university degree classification. We no longer require grades for our apprenticeship program. Whole different story, but because they don't predict success for us, it's about the people attributes that I just spoke about that predict success. But there is an application form where we just get the basic information of who the people are who are applying to us, and then everyone passes through to what we call a photo book, which is a situational strengths test. And in that photo book, we present people with experiences and situations they may be in if they were in the business, and we've got 2 separate ones: one for operational roles, which are based within a warehouse, and one for functional roles, which tend to be more based within an office, and they're slightly different situations you're more likely to come into contact with day to day. And it asks them what they would do in these certain situations, and that is simply to assess whether they sort of have are they collaborative? Do they work in the same sort of way that we work? Do they fit in with that culture piece that you were talking about before, David, actually? The second stage after that is another online test. It's a job simulation. But instead of being what would you do in this situation type of questions, they open their laptop and you are in a day. So you open your laptop and, for example, you have an email from a customer that says, this has gone wrong. How can we fix it? And there's a number of resources that you can look through. There might be a voicemail, there might be another email that you'd received earlier in the day. And then you have to be in that role, you have to respond. And it may be that you have to respond via a phone call. So you are speaking into the computer, you are recording what your response would be back to that customer. It may be that you open your laptop and someone's ringing you and you have to respond to those questions. But we put people in a situation to help them, not only as to understand how they would react and how they would deal with that situation, but to give them an opportunity too. I think one of the most important things for us throughout the recruitment process is that logistics is shrouded in this sort of dark art, mystic, black fog. And I must admit, I didn't know what logistics was till I worked within this sector. I think if we talk to any young people, and probably their parents and careers advisors too, they'd go, logistics, it's about moving things. And it doesn't really give a realistic job preview of what you'd be doing day to day. So we tried to break that down in the first 2 online stages of our recruitment process, through the job simulation and through the situational strengths test. Once someone's passed those 2 elements, we finally get to the experience day. And at this point, it's the best part. We meet our candidates face to face. Hopefully, we meet our candidates face to face, I should say. We're currently meeting them all on Zoom. And we go through 3 particularly designed activities. There's a group task, there's a presentation, and there's an interview. And all of them are assessing the things that we spoke about earlier, and making sure that someone is the right fit for our business. We are not in any way trying to trip anyone up. I'm really proud of the fact we get really good feedback from our candidates to say they actually quite enjoyed it, and that if nothing else, they learn quite a lot about themselves. We are there to help people, particularly looking for their first job, understand what they like. And it might be that they come to an experience day or they complete our online testing and they realise that actually I don't want to be in a warehouse, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. It means that maybe that role isn't for you, but it means we've done the right thing to get them to that place to understand that. So sorry, that was quite a waffly way to answer that. So we've got a 2-stage online process for the situational strengths test, and then the job simulation, and then finally we've got an experience day where people hopefully come to site, if not come to Zoom, and we run through a number of activities with them and with them as a group.
Well, it wasn't waffly, but there's an awful lot to cover, isn't there? That's for sure. I mean, Lizette, you went through that process. I should imagine, or something very close to it. I mean, it is just so different to a filling in a UCAS form, isn't it, or going off to a university? How well prepared did you feel for that sort of process?
Well, actually, when I started, it didn't quite have that kind of structure. However, I have seen it, happen. I'm attending one of the experience days, which I'm really excited about. But yes, it is very different to filling in a UCAS form. You don't just have to populate things about your address. You have to actually start thinking about, um, what would I do in this situation, where you probably have never thought about that before. You've probably never thought about a warehousing environment and what you should do if a scenario comes up. So preparing in terms of preparation, being yourself, and you kind of almost have to think, what would I do, because I've never had to, and it's great, and it makes you think. And I'll be interested to see what some of the candidates this year come up with. I'm just there to observe and see what's going on. But I have been part of I was a guinea pig last year for one of them, and I found it really fun. What we had to do. Obviously I wasn't being tested, and they'd employed me by that point. So, but it was really good fun. And as Sasha says, they make it as exciting as they can, and it's great.
Fantastic. Well, there we go. So good resources online to go and have a look. And if you want to apply, in terms of timing, that's the other thing, Sasha, that always I think is worthwhile flagging. This is very different, isn't it, to the UCAS timing? When do you open and close for people who want to join your programme?
So we open for our graduates in about October time. Actually, we open very early. It seems crazy. We have our new hires start and we go straight out for recruitment pretty much straight away. So we open in October time-ish, and there is a bit of give and take within that. And we tend to have we have already completed all graduate recruitment. So graduate recruitment is completed in Feb, and similarly, apprentice recruitment opens in December, January time, and we're currently at the assessment centre stage, the experience day stage. So we open in December, January, and we will complete all of recruitment by the end of April. And it is very different, Dave, and I feel quite sorry for people on this. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, for those who want to find out more, it's a question of now keeping an eye out, because December will be the next time when they're likely to be able to apply. So again, it's about that forward planning if you are a young person thinking about a career with DHL.
100%, yeah. Definitely, it's about December time. But obviously, if anyone's got any questions in the meantime, we're available on LinkedIn, social media, through all our partners, through our website, and happy to chat to anybody before that time if they want to know more about it.
Well, there we go. What a great offer. So we'll make sure we put some links on the website to those various pages and resources. Sasha and Zette, thank you so much indeed for your time today and giving us a glimpse into the world of DHL, which is just phenomenally diverse. I've really enjoyed the conversation. And thank you to you for joining this Talent Talks. Next time we'll be looking at something completely different, the world of horse racing with Zoe Elliott from the British Horse Racing Authority. And again, there's far more to it than just jockeys and owners. So join me to hear about the many and diverse opportunities that exist in a sector which employs over 20,000 people in the UK alone. So thank you for joining, and I look forward to seeing you next time round.